Welcome to the Brandon Coin YouTube channel, and today we're going to talk about a couple recommendations and also some information you need to know on motherboards whenever you're trying to pair up 3060 non-TIs. So these are the 12 gigabyte 3060s, and these are the mining nerfed cards. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, these cards are mining nerfed on Ethereum, but there is a developer driver that unlocks them to full hash rate within a certain specification. So with that being said, you need specific motherboards to get multiple working on the same motherboard. A couple things right off the top: it's got to be on Windows, and they will not work on ×1 risers. They will work on the big ×16 risers if you have the correct motherboard and configuration. So let's just dive right into it, and I'll show you a couple motherboards that I've found that will work, won't work, and some information you can use to check out in the future if you find some motherboards and to find out if they'll work or not work. So boom, switch on over here. A gentleman in the Discord sent me these, and these are confirmed working. The Dock Cooler Jinsha X99. Basically, this is a X99 motherboard, which is a extreme chipset motherboard. It's LGA 2011 V3. They're on sale for $149 Amazon Prime. They have 3 full-size slots. That's not necessarily an indicator of it will run 3 full-size cards, but it's on the right track. The big thing that he said when he was looking to buy these was, if you go right here, is it right here? Boom, Crossfire. So this supports 3 PCIe expanded slots. These channels can be synthesized to X16 or X8 configuration to cope with multiple workloads. So a lot of motherboards may have multiple ×16 slots. That's the full slots, but sometimes they won't actually run those slots in a full ×16 or ×8 mode. For 3060 non-TIs, the 12 gigabyte mining nerfed edition cards, they have to run in a minimum of ×8 or 8 PCIe lanes. If you don't give it 8 lanes, it will not get the full mega hash. So a lot of times mainstream boards will give 16 to the first one and may only give 4 lanes to the second one. Some motherboards will let you change that and give 8 and 8, but some won't. So you just take that into account. It's definitely more motherboard driven than it is CPU driven. So this motherboard supports all X99 chips. So there's a huge laundry list of them, but the cheapest option is to go with the Xeon chips. So this motherboard supports the E5 V3 chips and the E5 V4. This is actually probably one of the best deals I've seen on here so far. This is a Intel Xeon E5 2620. It's a 2.4 gigahertz, nothing crazy there, but it is actually a 6-core. So honestly, you could probably do a little bit of Monero mining on this, and it's only 36 bucks. So hard to beat on that end. Yes, the motherboard is a little pricey, but that's not bad nowadays. Yeah, so boom, you could run 3 3060s on this. A gentleman in the Discord has confirmed, and he does have 3 3060s running in it. The only thing he said you had to be careful about is the card that's mounted right here. It can't be one of the extra wide cards, because then it would touch this card. But where this slot is in relation to this slot, there's plenty of room, so you can run a thick card and a thick card, and then one of the just 2 slot cards right here. So just take that into account with what 3060s you're getting. So yeah, a lot of hoops you got to jump through to make these 3060s work. But let's continue on. So this motherboard also runs off DDR3, so you can get 8 gigs of DDR3 because you got to run it on Windows. The mining nerf driver will not work on Linux. Just one of the things that it is what it is. Now here is an example of a motherboard that potentially you would think would work, but it will not work. So this is $177. It's another Chinese X99 motherboard. This one, actually, the shipping's a lot longer, so you wouldn't even want this one, and it's more expensive. But look, it's got 3 full-size slots. But if you go down to where is it? A VGA socket, which I don't know why. I guess technically it's a VGA socket and that's a PCIe socket. But anyway, 2 of them operate as ×16 and 1 of them operates as ×4. And if it says that in the beginning, I'm going to assume that it's not going to give you extra functionality on top of that. So this would be a huge dice roll, in my opinion. Would not even bother trying this motherboard. So whenever you look in the future, make sure to look at those specific things. So also another one that has been really popular, I actually recommended this for mining rigs, and it's still a solid recommendation for mining rigs, but not for 3060 non-TIs. This Z390A Pro will actually fit 5-6 graphics cards, and it's got 2 full-size slots. So you would think, yeah, I can put 2 3060 non-TIs on there, and that is incorrect. And if you go down here over to the specs and you go to the slots, it has 2 PCIe x16 slots, and it only supports them in x16 and x4 mode. So this motherboard will not run both of those slots in x16 mode, because this motherboard and this chipset supports CPUs with only 16 extra PCIe lanes. Or sorry, 20 PCIe lanes. I think it's 16 or 20. Anyway, it still doesn't have enough lanes to run both of them in 16. It can only run, it's 20 lanes, yeah. So you can run one in 16 and one in 4. That equals out your 20 lanes right there. Boom. It does not offer the 8 and 8 mode. Don't know why, but it is what it is. So just take that into account when you're looking at motherboards, and you're looking at, CPUs. So bam. That's how the cookie crumbles. If you want to find out how many lanes you have available, you can actually look it up. So like, say for example, an i7 9900K, you can type that in, and then you can go to the Intel Arc, which is like the actual Intel website. You can go down and look at PCIe lanes. Where are we at here? Did I already pass it? Probably already did. CI. Here we go. Max number of PCI Express lanes, 16 lanes. So mainstream Intel chips, for the most part, are going to have 16 lanes. Sorry about that. And then your extreme or a Xeon series like X99, X299, that kind of thing, are going to have 40 and up PCIe lanes. Like for example, the CPU that I recommended earlier, the Intel Xeon V3 2620. If we type that in and go over, boom, find that on the Intel Arc. There it is. We go down here, and max number of PCI Express lanes, 40. So you could run, 8, 8, 8, 8. That'd be 32. So 4 GPUs and x8 configuration would only take up 32 lanes. You would just have to find a motherboard that would accept that situation. Now there are other situations where motherboards have PLX chips, PLX, and this is diving a little bit deeper. So a PLX is essentially a switching chip, so you can have one slot running in x16 and another slot in x16 on a motherboard that or on a CPU that would not support that many lanes. And the way that works is, the way that works, before I show you that motherboard, is that PLX chip on different cycles switches back and forth and lets that PCI Express slot use those lanes, and then it switches and lets them run that. But the thing is, that's not a common situation on most motherboards, so that's kind of more of an advanced thing. If you see that the motherboard has a PLX switching chip, and it allows multiple slots at multiple lanes, that's a good explanation as to how and why that can actually happen. Because some people are like, hey, this motherboard says it supports, 3 slots at x8, but then the CPU only has 16 lanes. How's that going to work? Well, there's a PLX switching chip involved, and when you dive into the actual specs and details, it explains more. So just also take that into account. Now, there is a gentleman on YouTube, and I can't actually remember his name, but I'll actually get his link and put it down below. He got 7 3060 non-TIs, all mining at full 50 or 49 mega hash, unnerfed, on this motherboard. This motherboard, looking into the specs, it actually has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 full-size slots, But what's even more important here is this is an X99 motherboard. So this supports CPUs with up to a max of 40 PCIe lanes. Well, 7 times 8 is way more than 40 PCIe lanes. So I had to dig into it and come to find out this motherboard actually has 2 PLX switching chips. So it's able to switch, I believe it's the first 3 and then the last 4. I'm not exactly sure, but it is confirmed this is currently the motherboard that supports the most 3060 non-TIs mining on one setup at one time. The issue though is this motherboard is very, very expensive. Upwards of $800-900 just to get one of these in a used condition. Brand new, they're going for over $1,500. So there's basically no situation where I would recommend this motherboard. What I have recommended to some other people is in your local area, you could. I'm going to show you on eBay, for example, but in your local area, you can look up just some cheap desktops. And a lot of people are like, what do you mean just a cheap desktop? Well, just let's show you right here. So a lot of these, like, they've been either recycled from old schools or libraries, stuff like that. Let's see here. I'll show you my favorite ones to pick up. Like these Dells right here. I always try to go with something that is at least a newer than Core 2 Duo. So if it's got an i3 in it, i5, that's plenty. So right here, boom. This one's $49 with $20 shipping. These things are all the time are on Facebook Marketplace for like 40 and 50 bucks. So you could grab this thing. If you look at that inside there, it has a full size 16 slot. So you could slam a 3060 in there. The only issue is this power supply is not going to put up with it. But if you, like me, you have tons of extra server power supplies laying around all over the place. So in theory, you could pick up, 2, 3 of these, have one server power supply on top, running supplemental power to multiple 3060s, and it's almost cheaper to have this entire system than try to put together. Imagine buying 7 of these. If you got them for 50 bucks a piece, you'd be in it for 350 bucks. Get a server power supply and cables, that's another 50 there. You'd be in it for 400 bucks. Then you could run 7 3060s, one in each of those systems for a lot less than running one of these. Now, of course, it's definitely not going to be as slick or as cool, and you're going to have 7 desktops like sitting all in a corner or something, which is not exactly ideal, but you see where I'm going here. You can get creative to make these cards work, but a lot of people are like really going head over heels for it. So this is my recommendation. This is what I tell people whenever they're looking for motherboards. Obviously, links down below for the Amazon stuff if it's still available. Grab it while you can. If it's not, I'm sorry, guys. There's always going to be a different situation that's more cost effective at a different time. So just take that with a grain of salt. And yeah, so if you're worried about trying to get multiple 3060s running on the same rig, maybe 3060s are just not the answer for you. So I currently have 2 of them, and I don't have any extra slots other than some of those desktops. So if I get my hands on another reasonably priced 3060, it's just going to go in one of those little cheap desktops and run by itself, essentially, because there's no reason that I'm going to try to build like one of these rigs around them. It ain't cost effective. But with that being said, I'm going to let you guys go. I was trying to keep it under 15 minutes. Looks like we're coming up on 14. So peace out. I'll see you on the next one. If you have any questions, please join the Facebook or the Discord. Invite is back open. They're down below in the description also. And yeah. Oh, by the way, if you made it this part or this far into the video, shout out for the OG watchers. Go ahead and comment jellyfish down below. Nothing else, just jellyfish. Obviously, you can do another comment if you have a question, but comment jellyfish. So a lot of the people that don't actually watch the video all the way or just clicked on the video and looking at comments, they're like, what is going on with all these jellyfishes? All right, later, guys. Peace out. Boom.